Welcome to The Funny Kind with Erica Gumieny, bringing heart, humor, and hope to everyday life. Laughter and love really do make a difference, and Erica's here to prove it. Part deep dive, part stand up for the soul. This show blends humor, heart, and real talk to help you stop believing the lies that hold you back. Whether she's flying solo or chatting with guests, Erica brings her signature mix of authenticity, wit, and wisdom, reminding you that growth doesn't have to be so serious. So pull up a chair, exhale, and get ready to laugh, reflect, and reconnect with the extraordinary human you already are. Because this is The Funny Kind, where humor meets healing and inspiration meets action.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Funny Kind. I'm so glad that you are here with us here in January, in the time of new beginnings. And I'm really excited for our conversation today. We are going to be talking about enough and the feeling of clearing the way for contentment. And I don't know about you, but that feels really good to me. And we're talking about enough for a couple reasons. One is that shameless plug coming in my newly published book, Journey from the Ashes, which is a devotional that inspires us to move beyond the lies that are holding us back. And each month has a theme. And in January, it's about enough, feeling like you're enough, the way that you are, and fighting back feeling, that you need to be something more than you are. And also feeling like you have enough. You got enough. You got enough. And I was telling Melinda that I have such a big background here full of stuff that it's the perfect background for our discussion. And so as we talk about having too much stuff, wanting to get rid of like, this is me. I have so much stuff. I'm going to get rid of my stuff. So then I get rid of my stuff. And then I'm like, all right, now I'm going to organize my stuff. And then I think I got to buy more stuff to organize my stuff. So there's just a lot of emotions and action with stuff. And I thought, who better than to have this discussion about the stuff of enough, clearing the way for contentment, than Melinda Stuart, who is with us today. So she'll be talking in just a second. But Melinda is here with us. So I'm going to read a little bit of her bio, but we're going to get to know her a lot today. And she's going to give us some really good wisdom, some tips, and things like that. So let me just read a little bit about Melinda. Melinda is a passionate and dedicated certified specialty move manager and the proud owner of Smart Moves here in Wisconsin. And that's a company that specializes in helping individuals navigate transitions with ease, which I love. I'm all about ease. Melinda has over 10 years experience with all that comes with cleaning out, right sizing. And I love that you say that, Melinda, instead of downsizing. Right sizing sounds so much awesomer. Transitioning, moving, and all the stuff that comes with all of that. We've all been in one of those situations and can probably have flashbacks and potential PTSD about those moments. But Melinda is here to give us some insights and some tips that she's learned from all of those years serving her clients. So welcome, Melinda.
Thank you, Erica. I'm so happy to be with you.
Yay. Melinda and I met at a networking event, and I was so intrigued by her business. We had just gone through a situation in our family having to clean out one of our loved ones' homes, and I'm sure everywhere she goes, she hears these stories. So thank you for listening to my story that night. And I'm so glad that it happened and that we're here today. So tell us, Melinda, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into this business.
Sure. So I love what I do. I got into this business because my mother started the business. So I had a completely different life and career. I worked as a community dietitian for about 15 years, and I loved that work and connecting with people. And I hit a point where I just felt like I'm ready to try something different. And I thought I was looking within my field. And at the same time, my mother had grown this business and was starting to think of her exit plan. And she asked a few times, would you ever consider this? And I thought, well, I don't see how this fits with my current trajectory.
Yeah, yeah,
And then after I think the third time it came up, I really thought about what I love, which is connecting people with resources, being able to problem solve and game plan together and come up. I love puzzles. So sometimes I think of what we do almost like a puzzle.
for
And I
sure.
thought, these things apply here as well. And so I worked alongside my mom for 2 years to feel it out and see if this was a fit. And I fell in love with the industry and the people we work with. And so I was able to purchase the business in 2017 so she could retire. And since then, we've grown our team and our business, and we just really continue to love bringing our energy and also the compassion to this process because it is sometimes a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. How awesome I have a daughter that is my vice president of production. And I love brainstorming and working with her. She must be so proud of you.
It's lovely. It's lovely to be able to bounce ideas off her. And now my daughter works in the company, and so it's
Um,
kind of just a continuation of
Oh my gosh, I love that.
yeah,
That's so sweet. I
it's
love
great.
that. Cool. Why not, right?
Yeah.
Why go work for a corporate gig when you can just be as a family? And my son works for my husband, so it's so
Well, there
great.
you go. All in the
Yeah.
family.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so I know we don't have a ton of time, so we are going to provide all of Melinda's information on smart moves. I'll give some more information at the end of our conversation. So her website is awesome. There's so many great resources on there, ways for to connect. So we're just going to get a tip of the iceberg. But tell us more about what a move manager is. I mean, I'm thinking it's not completely connected to your dietitian work.
Right.
Not
Right.
that I don't need that, because that could
We're
be
not
another podcast.
exercising. We're talking about what we're eating. No.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
yeah, no, it is an important question because the industry itself is only about 25 years old and Smart Moves is about 23 years old. So we were in at the beginning, and a lot of people, unless they've worked with a move manager, don't know about us. So it can be a little abstract. Some people describe us as like a wedding coordinator of a moving or organizing project. I don't think that's quite right. Some of our partners call us the like general contractor of
Mhm.
the whole thing because we really become that point person. But it's more than that. We're there really walking with our clients, meeting them where they're at, and then helping them both physically and emotionally through the process. I would say the majority of our clients are preparing for a move, but sometimes we're helping people just rethink the space that they're in and they want to stay in as well. And either way, it's nice to have someone there to kind of help you pull out those boxes, look through things. And then as we go through things, sometimes emotions or memories come up, and having that person there to process that with and share with can really make the experience more enjoyable or easier.
Yes. Well, definitely needed. And I feel like I am in my 50s. I know, shocking. You're like, I thought you're in your 20s.
I did.
But I think a lot of us in this age, we've we've inherited stuff. Not great stuff, just stuff.
Hmm.
Like books and ornaments and all this stuff. And I used to be a minimalist, and I look back at pictures of my house, and there was a picture on a wall. And then it's like, oh, well, grandma gave me that, or this person gave me that, and this person. And I can see the connection between the stuff and the memory. And coming off the holidays,
Yeah.
I lost my sister a year and a half ago. And this particular Christmas for me was like real intense. And I can see how you're like,
Mhm.
oh, this ornament she gave me this. So tell us a little bit more about the connection that you've seen your clients have with the relationship with stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and I hear what you're saying. I know that that's why I said easier. I never say easy because no
Yeah.
matter what, there's something attached to going through things and making decisions. So, um, I forgot your original question because I got
It's like
sidetracked.
no, that's cool. The connection of like the relate, it's like,
Okay, yeah.
like we have people that we know who may, like they'll show the hoarder show or things like that. And it's like you have a relationship with the stuff.
Yeah.
It's
And
not just
really,
an inanimate object.
exactly. And I would say people like everything, there's a spectrum, right? Some people don't get that attached to things and almost to the other extreme where it's kind of like in and out,
Yeah.
not thinking about it. But I would say the majority of people, actually, a study was done recently gauging where people feel, and over 60% of the people said, I feel like I have too much stuff. And so why is that? And there's different reasons. And part of it is um, we think if we can see something that that thing holds the memory of the person or the experience. And so um, we can tie that up. The trouble is when we have so much of that and then it's in a box in the basement and it's never coming out or um, then we're not really honoring those things. So there might be other ways to really honor the memory and the things without holding on to all the objects in our own space.
Mm.
So uh, yeah.
Can you think of a quick story of a time where you had a client? I really like how you're saying how you can honor it in a different way than
Mhm.
keeping it in the, like, I think you were at my house stalking me in my basement craft room where all things have gone, including including a full-size bed that's for
Yeah.
my daughter. Anyways, can you tell a story maybe of a client that you kind of helped
Yeah.
honor in a different
There's
way?
two that come to mind. One I feel like I tell all the time, so I'll go with the other client.
Okay.
But as our specialist was working alongside her, they were up kind of in an attic space, and she had a whole box full of things from when she was a Girl Scout, and it was there were pictures and the sash and the hat and all the books and everything. And she's moving, she's downsizing, she doesn't really have room for it, but those memories were so precious. And so as she's going through, she's kind of putting the things on. And so our specialist encouraged her to kind of put all the things on and hold the things. And she got a picture of her. And then we packed those things up and found a place for them to be donated. And then in her new space, when she got there, the picture of her with all of her things was on the coffee table. And she was so delighted. And even having the chance to tell someone the stories about that
Yeah.
while pulling them out helps that memory
Oh,
live on. And that's really where our memories stay, is in our telling of the story and remembering things. So it was a beautiful way to let go of this big box, now have one picture. I mean, pictures themselves can get to be overwhelming, but it just was a great way. And other times we encourage families to do that with things that are memories that they want to pass on to their children, but the children don't want the big furniture or the big pieces.
hmm.
Take a picture and write the story of the person that belonged to and how they use that dresser or chest or tool bench or whatever it is.
Oh, I love that.
And then that can be passed on and that can be shared with lots of people,
Yeah,
and really honor that person. So
that's so great. I love that. That's a really some good wisdom there. Is how can I honor this in another way other than having it sitting in the basement underneath piles of stuff? I love
yeah.
that. I'm going to be thinking
And
about that. Thank you.
I think our recent floods really brought that awareness as well, because as you drive by, for people that were affected by those terrible flooded basements,
Yeah.
to see all those things out on the curb that now are just going to be trash, where they
Yeah.
could have been donated or sold, or somebody else could have given them a second life, and now instead they're just ruined.
Oh
So
my
that's a
goodness.
way to think about it too.
Yes, that's such a good point. Thank you. What about what about this the and you had talking about how 60% of people feel like they have too much stuff. I think about I always say I think about a lot of stuff, but I have so much stuff and I want to get rid of my stuff. But the thought of getting rid of my stuff is overwhelming because dear God, I don't want to do a rummage sale.
Yeah.
The thought of going on Poshmark or whatnot, or all of these different things that you can sell the stuff is exhausting. And the thought of just giving it away to Goodwill, donating it, giving it a new home, it's lovely. But that's also like, oh, I feel bad that I'm getting rid of stuff that is probably worth something that I could make money on the side. How do you work through your clients when I'm sure I'm not alone in that? So then there it sits.
Sure. That's one of our number one questions. What do I do with all this stuff, and how do I even get started? So let's start with getting started because it is so overwhelming. The number one thing I want to say is don't try to do it all at once because it's going to be not only physically exhausting, but mentally exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So we really go with the 15-minute a day rule. If you're doing this on your own, if you're going to bring us in or a professional, then we do usually 4-hour sessions. But on your own, 15 minutes is the sweet spot. And when I say that, it's like 15 minutes without the radio on, without a great podcast like The Funny Kind, with
Nice.
no distractions. You're just really focusing on this task. And then start with something that's not sentimental. So, you don't want to think of things that remind you of your sister because that's going to bring up a lot of emotions. But maybe you could look at your medicine cabinet. Most of us aren't like emotionally attached to our medications and,
Right.
the expired or things we're not using.
How about my 75,000 eyeshadow palettes?
Exactly. Perfect. Unless you're really attached to those, that would be another great place. And if you pick one area, you can really get that done in 15 minutes. And then the next day you go to look for your eyeshadow and you're like, these are my favorites right here. I didn't have to dig through. It feels good. And then you want to do the next 15 minutes. So that's just one little piece I like to make sure everyone thinks about. And then once you've done this for a couple days, you're going to start having a pile. You don't want to just let it sit there because then it gets back in circulation. So that's part of what we help people think about. Is this a sellable item? Is this a donatable item? Is this something that can be recycled or repurposed? And then our last choice is to dispose of it. And there's so many options out there that you don't have to do all that legwork yourself. We have people that can come pick things up and sell them for you. You could send them to auction if you have really high-end items. We can set up consignment. So there's ways that it can just move off your plate, and then you don't have to be watching the messages come in and the offers come in or remember sale that. Unless you really love that kind of stuff, we don't usually recommend that route.
Okay, that's really great that you offer that service. So I could technically just give that to you, and you could say, "I'll do that. I will go give it to
we'll
whatever, and I'll give you commission on what you sell."
We don't get involved in the selling because we're helping with that process of really supporting our clients and making the decision. But since we've been, not myself, but Smart Moves has been doing this for over 20 years, we've developed really great partnerships and know who's the best fit for.
Your resources page is awesome. There were so many great companies. I was like, wow, if you have any questions, like really, I can see that you've spent years kind of building a web of everybody you can think of that you might need to work with in this. Like you said, as the general contractor, I know people. And that is so helpful, especially if you're dealing with maybe an aging parent that needs to move into assisted living or something like that. And now you have to get rid of their house and their stuff. Whew, that can be really overwhelming. And all of the people I was thinking back to times that we've had those situations, and I was thinking about people I had to find, and you had them all. I was like, dang, where were you? Where were you? Why didn't I meet you years ago? I love it. Okay, what I want to ask like a deep question. So as I think about like just this world that we live in of constantly being sold to, like there's just constant pushing. There's, now we're back to watching TV shows where like, oh, here's somebody using Windex, right? I mean, it's just, and every reel, I'm just constantly buying stuff. Like, I'm going to confess, I just bought a new scale. Okay. How many scales do I already have? Go ahead. Ask me.
How many scales do you already have?
Great question, Melinda. I already have 2 scales. Not one, but 2. Why do I need a new scale? Well, because I saw a reel that said when you weigh yourself, you really should find out what your water is and your BMI and their heavy scales and blah blah blah. Fine. The worst thing is like buy now. There is a document that Melinda has created that I'll be sharing with you guys that says, how are you feeling right now? Impulsive? I was like, ooh, I'm seen. I feel seen. And I'm like, no, I like it. It's fine. But is it giving me any information that is changing my life? I mean, as a former dietitian, it's good to know probably that what my water is. So I drink more water, but like, I don't know that.
Right.
Anyways,
Yeah, it's, don't be hard on yourself because especially with all these things working and AI following us and figuring out everything's targeted to really get us to want to do that. So it's normal to feel that way. And
yeah.
I guess the thing is to get really clear with yourself what feels good to you.
Mm,
And if you want that scale, because it has those fancy features, you're going to bring something in, but you're in downsizing mode, or that's your desire, right sizing, as we say. Then when you bring something in, something else has to go out. And if
oh my
you're really
gosh.
trying to right size, if you bring something in, two things should go out because otherwise you're just staying status quo. So I know that's a simple rule, but it really is helpful.
One in, two out.
Right.
Okay, I
And it
like
doesn't
that.
have to be, I mean, in your case, you could bring one scale in and two scales out because you've got those extra scales. But,
Yeah.
you just want to think it doesn't always have to be a plant for a plant or a picture for a picture, but just if your goal is to have more space and less things, then that's got to be the dynamic of
Yeah. And
thinking.
I wrote in, so this second plug, Journey from the Ashes book here, I wrote about how it's just this like dangling carrot of enough, like, or of, I'll feel content when I get that. Once I get that, then I'll be happy. And then I get
Mhm.
that, and then I'm on to the next thing. And then I'm on to the next thing. And I'm like, why do I have all this? Like none of it's never enough. It's never, I wrote, in the end, stuff doesn't matter and will not fill our heart or soul. You know it, and I know it. And yet, and it's just, um, and I think the older we get and the more we experience loss, we realize that I have yet to go to a funeral where I'm like, man, people are like, George had so many awesome casserole dishes. Oh my gosh, I love it. He had all the best phones. And look at all the stuff he had. Nobody, it doesn't matter. Can't take it with you. And nobody cares. And now
Right.
the kids are left having to clean all that out instead of just thinking about dad and telling stories and all that stuff. So in your years of dealing with all this, all the nuances of stuff, moving stuff, right sizing stuff, what would you tell, a young 20 something who's just in the beginning of the acclimating phase and the accumulating phase? Well, what wisdom would you give them now that you've spent 20 years of your life doing this?
I think the biggest thing I have realized is to embrace the chapter you're in. So, and to really
Mm,
understand the chapter you're in. So, when you're in your 20s, you're doing different things, and maybe as you're building a family or you're building your work life or whatever. And so, once one chapter ends, usually some of the things that go with that chapter end as well. And what we see is that most people then put those items out of sight, out of mind instead of getting rid of them. And so if you can
mm,
really think like, okay, my husband and I, our children are in their 20s, they're off at school, they're not planning to come back. Okay, so now our chapter is shifting. So what do we still want to bring into the next chapter and what are we ready to let go? And we have these chapters. Sometimes they're long chapters, sometimes they're short. But if you can really embrace the chapter you're in, that can help. It's just for
I
me,
like
that
that.
visual of, back to your book, having a book, and really
Yeah.
thinking about that is helpful. And I think the other thing is when you bring something in, do I have do I have space for this? I like to think like if I needed to find this right now, would I know where to find it? If I can't
Mm,
find it, then it's adding stress to my life. It's and maybe I'm going to end up buying another one and then I'll be irritated so it's really thinking about, do I have space? Do I
yeah. And
use
the questions you have on one of these documents that ask some of those are so good. It's like, I need this taped like in every mirror and every place in my house to be like, wait, why are you getting that? Do you really need it? Do you have something similar? All right. How will this make you feel? Are you sure? You sure? Can you hold on a minute? Can you not buy now? How about you just add it to your cart? Whoa.
or give
Okay.
yourself 24 hours to think about it, right? Like just put
Yeah.
that on. Maybe the next day you'll still want it, but
Yeah, but
avoid
that's no fun. That doesn't meet my impulsive adrenaline net rush. It's especially now that they're like, I can get this to you in 2 hours.
Yeah,
Like,
I
no, two
know.
hours, and then I get it, and then I don't even. Uh, I mean, truth be told, the Amazon delivery has been here since we've been talking. I do have a box on my patio. I'm just gonna confess that to everybody listening right now. Do as I say, do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yep.
Ugh.
Well, we can
Okay.
only just do our
So,
best.
right. So I could talk to you for so long, but I really appreciate the grace that you are been giving people and the understanding and the just the sensitivity you have with this. And I really encourage people who are looking to downsize, right size, move, dealing with anything like that to reach out to Melinda. All of her information and information on Smart Moves is within the description of this podcast. There are 3 documents that she so kindly shared that you can download at no cost. Thank you for that. That was so generous of you. But I would definitely reach out to Melinda if you need any help. And like I said before, just connecting my favorite thing that you said is, how am I feeling when I think about this? Relaxed and calm, or anxious, upset, or gulp, impulsive? I wrote just preparing because I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like this is my own therapy session that you've all just been listening to. So thank you, Melinda, for being here. The tagline of this podcast is bringing hope and humor to everyday life. And I think your work is really bringing hope to people at a time that can be really difficult. So I just thank you and your team for the work that you're doing, and the difference that you've no doubt made and are making to people who really need your service. So I hope this message is reaching people that you can help.
Well, thanks. I loved being here and talking with you.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining this episode of The Funny Kind. And please reach out to Melinda, look for information below, and stay tuned for our next episode. And we will see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to The Funny Kind with Erica Gumieny, where humor meets healing and inspiration meets action. If this episode made you laugh, think, or become inspired, be sure to like, share, and tell a friend who could use a dose of heart and humor today. And don't forget to tune in to The Funny Kind right here on Transformation Talk Radio for more real talk, big laughs, and light bulb moments. Want to connect with Erica and learn more about turning your pivotal moments into powerful growth? Visit yourpivotalpoint.com. Until next time, keep laughing, keep loving, and keep spreading a little bit of funny and a whole lot of kind.